Will Wade stepped to the mic on Wednesday morning for some midsummer media availability, and everyone knows when he's on the mic, it's appointment television.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Wolfpack Nation? It's time to get locked in with Locked On. Thanks for making Locked On Wolfpack your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can sign up today and get $150 back in bonus bets if you sign up, place a $5 bet, and it wins. Head on over to FanDuel.com in order to get started today. Happy Wednesday to all. As always, I'm Grayson Boone, joined by former Wolfpack defensive tackle Kenton Gibbs. Kenton, Will Wade had some midsummer media availability on Wednesday, and this is the kind of stuff that I've been chomping at the bit for. I just want to hear Will Wade on our airways virtually each and every day. I want to hear him say some exciting things, some less exciting things, him cut through the BS. I just want to hear Will Wade talk shop. And that's a lot of what we got from him on Wednesday morning. Very funny. He led off this conference immediately calling out Grant Hughes, which is funny because we've done the very same thing. Grant Hughes was from 247 Sports. He had that tweet back, and I think it was like late May, basically saying, Will Wade and NC State haven't done much. What's going on over there? And then we followed it up with like several very large commitments, and we have one of the top classes in the ACC now. Will Wade kept receipts, and I know Andrew Slater did as well, because Andrew Slater was one of the first people to respond to that tweet back when it was posted. Kenton, what are your thoughts about Will Wade and the staff keeping tabs on what the rest of the triangle is saying?
Good. If you are the type of person that keeps receipts and keeps tabs, you know what that means people are going to do to you. They'll do the same in return. People are going to be watching and waiting and preying on your downfall because they feel like a lot of people have this secret inferiority complex they don't talk about, where they feel like I am beneath you. Therefore, you shouldn't be responding to me. I should say whatever I want to you because you're a head coach, and don't you ever respond to me. But this is what happens. This is what happens when you've got the American gangster. It hits different. Things don't roll like they used to roll around here. And I will tell you this much. I look at the transfer portal class. I look at all the things that Will Wade has done already as, again, this is year zero. This is stepping stone year. I'm not in the vein or mode of thinking that this is Will Wade's peak in any way, shape, form, or fashion. So I think it is very interesting to kind of hold up, NC State's recruiting class to this deep microscope or to sift through it with a fine-tooth comb, when in reality they're looking at a somewhat rushed job in a period where Will Wade was under a show cause for a lot of this. So I'm glad that he keeps receipts. I'm glad that Slater keeps receipts. I'm glad that these are people that very clearly do not care about being liked. That is so important. Do you know how many times I've heard, this coach is a good guy. He's such a great guy. He's a really good guy. He just can't win. I do not care if my head coach is clubbing baby seals on his off day. If you come into that stadium and you win ball games, more power to you.
Have you had many head coaches that were also in Orca?
Hey, listen, I'm just being honest, okay? I don't care about none of the yin yang and riffraff. I want a coach that's going to win, and I want a coach that knows what it takes to win. And that's what Will Wade is. That is much more important to me. That is exponentially more important to me than, is he kind? Does everybody like him? Does everybody get the warm and fuzzies from him? I don't give a rat's behind if nobody gets the warm and fuzzies. I don't care if everybody sees us coming and moans and groans, because like I've talked about before, when you are the white hat, when you are the lovable loser, when you're just stumbling around town and maybe you get a win here and there, everybody likes you. Oh, yeah, those state guys, they play tough. They play the game the right way. They play it tough. When you become the empire, when you become the champions, when you become the people that folks are now looking up at saying, oh, man, we got to go hunt them, nobody likes you. And so, this is just a part in that process. I'm fine with that.
100%. This is Will Wade at his best. Everyone knows the personality that he's had in years past, but now that he's here in the Triangle and folks outside of the NC State contingent get to experience what Will Wade is, yeah, you better be prepared that anything that you say directed at him or this program, he's going to see it. And not only will he see it, he's going to keep note of it. He doesn't care what you think about him. We've said this a million times already, but this is the coach that we have only dreamed of having for decades now in Raleigh. He's everything we want in a guy that can talk a little smack. He can set some lofty goals and then do everything in his power to back up each and every step of that. This is what we've been waiting for. So if anyone's surprised to hear Will Wade speak like this, don't be. This is who he is, and it's only going to get better from here. Also heard Wade speak about some of the rest of the non-conference schedule, kind of poked some fun at reporters saying he didn't know what was or was not reported so far. So he gave us a couple interesting nuggets. UNC Asheville and UNC Greensboro will also be on the non-conference schedule, in addition to Texas Southern being the game in Reynolds Coliseum. This is an interesting point I want to bring up, the Asheville and Greensboro part of the equation here, because we haven't seen NC State play a ton of the other local schools, I guess you could say, like UNCW, just for example. Keats was there for a couple of years, won championships there, and yet the entire time Keats was in Raleigh, we never saw UNC Wilmington. And maybe we won't for quite some time, but I can't even remember the last time that we played against UNC Wilmington. The same can be said against teams like App State or ECU. Fun fact, did you know that NC State has only played ECU basketball 6 times ever? Ever. They're an hour and a half away. We've only played them 6 times ever. It sounded from Will Wade that he's going to make a little bit more of an effort to play some more of these local teams, and I like that. So his rationale is essentially, if we're going to have these non-conference games, why not give the fan base a little something extra to be looking forward to? Like, in all reality, when you play a team against, I mean, this is going to be a wild ricochet, but if you play against like USC Upstate, not only are they not very good, it doesn't help your resume, but the NC State fan base is like, why should I go and on a Monday night go see USC Upstate in the Lenovo Center? If you replace that with, I don't know, App State, I guarantee you the same person would be a little bit more inclined. So I believe that's what they're angling toward. And me personally, I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I totally agree. And at the end of the day, you're keeping money in the state in terms of, you're going to have situations where these quote unquote pay games are going to schools that are local. You're helping out the state of North Carolina's economy in that way. And that, again, if you're talking, they're playing Southern or Detroit Mercy or something like that, that money is gone. As soon as they get that money, it's going back to Wayne County, or it's going back to Baton Rouge, or it's going back to wherever these respective teams are from, as opposed to, again, this is just from a strictly, is this a good thing, bad thing standpoint? This is definitely saying he wants to strengthen North Carolina, the state of North Carolina, all around. Because again, we're in the hoop state. We're in the state where you're going to be looking at some really, really high-powered teams, even if you are talking, mid-majors and whatnot. And you're also looking at a situation where Will Wade is showing you, hey, yes, we're not afraid of anybody, but we're also not stupid. We're also not going to schedule a bunch of tough games just for the sake of scheduling tough games and not have any rhythm or rhyme to it. There will also be periods like this where we're talking about, again, teams that are viewed as lesser going forward.
And then last couple things, I want to talk about both depth and health. Will Wade talked a little bit about Ven-Allen Lubin, who's had a very good summer so far, but in the same breath, he also said, but we still need to get him some help. That's kind of been the elephant in the room, that the front court may or may not need some extra tinkering to see what we can accomplish in terms of depth. So that'll be something to keep an eye on. Wade also said that out of the entire summer up to this point, they've only had just one day where they've had enough people healthy for a full-on 5-on-5. And Coach Wade said that is concerning for him. It's a little bit concerning that, so to speak, they've gotten off to a slower start than one may have hoped for. Kenton, how concerned are you that maybe they've been a little bit too dinged up so far this summer?
I'm not as concerned because there is still a ton of time. To me, I think that a team needs at least a good 3 months together before things get rolling. Because if you're saying November is opening night, then that gives you August, September, October to get ready. I'm not worried about this at all. Yes, it's unfortunate that they've been dinged up and hurt, but the reality is I don't think that you need 5-6 months to fully understand what a coach is trying to put in, how the system is supposed to work, and things along those lines. I think you get that done in 3, maybe 4. If we're talking about, being in early July and getting that sorted out, I'm not worried.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. There's a little bit of something to it. If you have some lingering injuries, you want to get those as healthy, or you want to get those healthy as quick as possible. But for me, like the early parts of the summer, it's a lot more about the camaraderie, the gelling of personalities and getting to know each other, how each other plays on the basketball court. For me, that's far more important right now than it is like the actual X's and O's of this thing. Because to your point, Kenton, you still have until November when this thing tips off. And obviously the preseason will get really ramped up probably like late September or October. And you still have 2 to 3 months ahead of that time frame as well. So there's still a lot of time. I think maybe the unknown amount of injuries is a little bit more of the concern. Like, how many guys are we looking at? Are we talking like 4 different guys have lingering injuries? Like, what may or may not be going on there? We don't know. But I do think right now it's more important they're growing as a team off the court than on the court. That part, of course, will come later in the summer and into the fall. So that was a quick update from the Will Wade media availability on Wednesday morning. Again, I cannot wait till we get more Will Wade seemingly each and every day once we get closer to the fall. He's a walking soundbite. This is the coach that we have always wanted in Raleigh, North Carolina. Coming up next, we're getting into a whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of something. More on this after a quick word from our sponsors. Our Wednesday show is brought to you by FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best place to make sure that you make every game more exciting. If you're already following the action, why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while you and all of your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. Me personally, I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app will always keep it fresh and exciting with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. Whether you're placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet right into the 9th inning, FanDuel always makes it feel like you are a part of the action. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get up to $150 back in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. Yes, that's right, $5 to $150 if you sign up, place, and win that first bet. Open up the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com in order to get started. Middle portion of our Wednesday show. Now time for a whole lot of nothing, a whole lot of something. 3 topics. We'll tell you exactly where we stand on them. So first one here, yesterday's show, we talked about CJ Bailey being tabbed the 15th best quarterback in the ACC by USA Today. I had to go back a little bit because somebody made this comment. I went back and found it. According to College Sports Wire, Hollywood Smothers is the 8th best running back in the ACC. Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
I'm going to say this is a whole lot of nothing, and I'm going to say it's a whole lot of nothing for the exact reasons that I was talking about on Twitter the other day in terms of Hollywood is an upper echelon back in the country. If you think I'm wrong, how about this? Okay? Of all returning running backs, of all of them, every single running back in the ACC, Hollywood Smothers is one of the top guys in terms of players who had over 80 carries last year. There is only literally one player with more carries than him who had a higher yard per carry average, and that is Isaac Brown, a guy that is being touted as a consensus All-American type of guy. Hollywood Smothers is second with 6.4 yards per carry. And you're telling me that you've got 8 guys who can do better than that? Even if I were to drop the threshold for carries down to, let's say, 50, to not use an arbitrary number like 80, guess how many the number increases, Grayson? Take a wild guess as to how many players now jump into that category as having the qualifying amount of carries and more yards per carry than Hollywood Smothers.
10.
It goes from 1 to 4. It goes from just Isaac Brown to Isaac Brown, Jordan Lyle, Jordan McDonald, and Duke Watson. That's it. Those are the only guys. And mind you, the number was dropped to 50. So these are guys who had about 30 less carries, some of them, than Hollywood, and yet we see what Hollywood did. So I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to be much better than the 8th best running back in the conference. And as we said before, I think he's closer to the 8th best back in the country than 8th best in the conference.
Yeah, we, of course, in Raleigh, we know what kind of talent the Hollywood Smothers is. Just for clarity, here's the 7 that were ahead of him in the ACC ranking here. Number 1, you do have Isaac Brown of Louisville. I think that makes all the sense in the world. He's an outstanding running back. Number 2, you have Jamal Haynes from Georgia Tech. I get it. Desmond Reed from Pittsburgh is 3. I get that one too. Damon Claiborne from Wake Forest is number 4. And their rationale was the Demon Deacons have a weakness on their team, but Claiborne is one of their best players. That's all they had to say about him when they put him 4. Okay, whatever. Number 5 is Mark Fletcher from Miami. Number 6 is Gideon Davidson of Clemson. I don't know how you can put him there. And number 7, you have Usman Kromah from Florida State. And the rationale is kind of the same thing. They said, well, Florida State was awful last year. We don't know what they're going to be this year. So Kromah is 7. Like, okay, that none of this makes any sense. And then you have Hollywood Smothers at 8. It's the same thing we talked about on Tuesday. It's lazy. They're paying no attention to NC State. They're hardly paying any attention to the ACC in general. And they don't know what Hollywood Smothers is. That's fine, because he's going to show you in about a month's time. I'd venture to guess there's probably no more than like maybe 1 or 2 other players that would be potentially hungrier to prove themselves this year than Hollywood Smothers. I guarantee you will feel him from week 1 against ECU. No doubt in my mind. So for right now, and again, it's one of these summer lists. It's a whole lot of nothing, but week 1, expect him. He's coming. Second one here, EA Sports College Football 26 is now out. Well, at least the early release is out. And now that head coaches are in the game, they also have their own kind of ratings and archetype. Coach Dorn, I'm going to go ahead and read it off to you. His archetype is a strategist, which I don't necessarily think is untrue. I think he is a strategist in real life as well. They have his coaching prestige as a B+. His NIL potential is medium. And in terms of rush to pass, they say he's 57% rush, 43% pass, and aggressive conservative meter, drum roll please, 80% conservative, 20% aggressive. Whole lot of nothing, whole lot of something.
I want to say a whole lot of nothing because it's a video game. But it also feels like a whole lot of something that even in a video game, we're like, oh, yeah, this guy's he's super conservative. I mean, this man, I have no doubt in my mind. 4th and 1, we're punting that thing. That's what we're looking at here. I will say it's interesting. It's interesting to see this, in terms of Dorn being a strategist instead of a motivator. I think that's interesting as well. But objectively speaking, I look at this and I say the conservative part is the part that really catches my eye, where I'm just like, oh boy, even on the game, you're going to have to go in there and manually do some things. So it's, it's a whole lot of nothing because it's a video game, but there is part of me. There is that little bit of me that's like, it might be something.
Feels a little on the nose if you're asking my opinion. The realism in this game is unbelievable. No, I mean, I think as often as we talk about it in real life, obviously the people, the creators of this game have taken note. And watching NC State these last couple of years, it does come off the screen that NC State usually plays a little bit too conservative. It's cost us several games in the last couple of years, agonizingly, but it is just a video game. I won't get bent out of shape out of this, but I mean, are they wrong? Is the lie in the room with us? I don't think it is. So thought that was interesting nonetheless. I'm going to go with a whole lot of something. I think it's on the nose. Last one here, in addition to what Will Wade was talking about on Wednesday, also kind of hinted that NC State may have 2 additional basketball scholarships for spots that could be filled this summer. Kenton, what are you expecting? Whole lot of nothing? Whole lot of something?
I would say a whole lot of something, because Will Wade talked about getting Ven-Allen Lubin some help. And, you're looking at a situation where with these extra two scholarships brought on by the house settlement, you're definitely looking to grab some big bodies. You're definitely looking to grab some guys who can play some meaningful minutes right away as front court guys, because we have seen this story before in Raleigh.
We have seen we've got one good big, we will count on him not going down story in the past.
and it left us in a very bad spot. We had one of the worst programs we had one of the worst seasons in the history of the program. When we thought, oh yeah, Manny Bates just won't. That's the plan. Just don't let Manny get hurt. Congratulations. If you're watching this show, you watched approximately 9 times as much footage of us as Manny Bates saw the court that season. Then that's with all due respect to the young man, but the truth is he got hurt, which you need to plan for to some degree. We did not, and it showed that we were woefully underprepared to fill in that void.
This is a very interesting development, and I'll be very intrigued to see what Wade and staff will do with it. And maybe this does have something to do with Andrew Slater over in Switzerland at the end of last week. The man is Batman, so I wouldn't rule virtually anything out at this point. But Will Wade and the staff having 2 additional scholarships to kind of tinker with over the course of the rest of the summer. My first thing is I do expect them to be international players, because I think if they weren't international players, the deals probably would have been done already. And the second part, I'm going to go with a whole lot of nothing, because I don't know what to expect in terms of production from potentially 2 more players. All the guys that are going to meaningfully contribute, they're here already. So you're looking for depth, and I mean basically strictly depth, and it will be in the front court. So front court depth is what you should be expecting if any more spots do get filled, because this is optional as well. You don't have to go to 15, but if you want 15, you can get 15. And Will Wade certainly sounded like he's looking to do some additional wheeling and dealing here before the summer concludes. So I think it's a whole lot of something to expect, potentially some more depth, but I would pump the brakes on what to expect from said depth. And coming up next, we're going to round out our Wednesday show talking about the player on Will Wade's squad that has the most to prove this upcoming season. More on this after a quick word from our sponsors. Last couple minutes of our Wednesday show. This is a topic that we've spent a lot of time on the football side of the last couple summers before the season began. I want to use this as a basketball discussion now, because basketball, as we all know, has suddenly become a lot more prevalent at NC State. We get to talk about basketball in the summer. How exciting is that these days? So the player that we feel has the most to gain in this upcoming season, whether that's draft stock, national prominence, playing time in general, just proving their overall skill set, the player that has the most to prove of a whole roster this coming fall. Kenton, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, so I wanted to say Darian Williams in terms of, hey, he's got to prove that he can, lead a team that's not as stacked as Texas Tech was last year to great things. But then I thought about it and I said, actually, no. There's another transfer that I would want to lean in on this one. And I'm going to go Trey Holloman. I'm going to go Trey Holloman.
Great answer.
Because there has been there's going to be a lot of pressure thrust upon this young man. There's going to be a lot of responsibility thrust upon this young man. And can he rise to the occasion? Can he be the floor general that's needed? Because we have scorers at the 1 through 5 positions this year. We have scorers all over the place. And you and I have talked about this a lot. There needs to be a drink stirrer. There needs to be somebody who's setting the table. And I think that that's going to be his role. But it's vital that he shows up and does so, because if you don't have that, then you have to have multiple players who you could just roll the ball out to and get you a bucket. And even then, that is proven to break down in tournament time.
Yeah, in my mind, there's 2 answers for this, and I think Trey Holloman is one of them. My answer is the other answer, but no, I think there's a ton of truth to that. Trey Holloman hasn't really gotten to be the guy quite yet. Like, he was kind of the second fiddle, respectfully, at Michigan State his 3 years there. He was a captain, but he never saw the most amount of minutes at point guard, never led the team in scoring, this, that, and the other. So now that he's here in Raleigh, he is the guy. He is the point guard. Make no mistake about it. A lot of the offense is going to flow through him. That's a lot of pressure. So I do think he has a lot to prove of himself, and I can't wait to see him do it. So my answer is Terrence Arsenault. Terrence Arsenault was a high 4-star player out of high school. He was I think he was like number 31 in the country coming out of high school. And I distinctly remember a lot of the nation was thinking of Terrence Arsenault as a potential major breakout player his late freshman into his sophomore year, and he tore his Achilles. So he missed a lot of basketball, didn't get to play much. He thankfully did get relatively healthy at the end of last year. He got to play all through Houston's run all the way to the national championship and provide some contributions there. But then he wanted a fresh start. He wanted to start over and look for another place to showcase his talents. He chooses Will Wade and NC State. And for that reason, he has a whole world to prove of himself. I think he has the most to prove of anyone on this roster. Will Wade has talked a lot so far about his defensive prowess, arguably already the best defensive player on the team, but they're looking to tap into more of his offensive bag and see what he can do in scoring the basketball. There's still a lot unproven of Terrence Arsenault, but if he's everything that people believe that he could be a little over a year ago, he might just wind up being one of the best players on this team. And so I'm pretty confident in my answer. I think Holloman and Arsenault are the top two answers. We also want to hear from y'all. Who do you think has the most to prove on this year's roster? I think Darian Williams is also a good case, being that he just tested the NBA draft waters, chose to come back to college because quite literally he still has a lot to prove of himself. But I think Darian Williams is kind of already a known commodity, if you want to call him that. He's been a top-level scorer for 2 years at Texas Tech. I think he was the Mountain West Player of the Year his one season at Nevada. We know what he is. He's a fantastic player. We just want to see more of it in Raleigh. So in my mind, Holloman and Arsenault are the top two answers. Give us your answer in the comments. Who has the most to prove of themselves this fall? That will do it for us here on Wednesday. As always, thank you all so much for joining us. Be sure to hit that like button. Drop your comments in the comment box. Mash that subscribe button if you have not already. We'll catch you right back here on Friday for more. And until then, go Pack.
Go Pack.